at a slight advantage due to the rogue that's in there.
I would agree.
I think it's waiting a little bit because Jinsoo's decks are quite vulnerable to it, especially the Death Rattle Paladin's been queued up here.
Yeah, and I feel like we've said that a lot about a lot of series that we've watched. Like, yep, the odd rogue seems pretty good here. It's probably going to get a fairly easy win. It turns out, you know, when we look at some of the graphics of the highest win rate decks, or the lowest win rate decks even, the common theme of those lowest win rate decks that were on there were they were things that lose to odd rogue. You know, I think that's really part of the problem that those decks are running into.
Of course, you say that, and then even Warlock sitting at the top.
Yeah, no, that's a great point.
They're in the odd rogue lineups is the thing.
Yeah,
it is the bootleg aggro deck, as you know, Raven was looking to put it there. But yeah, early on, Jinsoo does have a fairly solid starting hand, but I'm looking at 2 vicious fledglings on CitizenNappa's side, and that means Jinsoo could be in a lot of trouble if he doesn't find some help.
Yeah, Spider Bomb is some of the kind of limited game that Death Rattle Hunter does have against those power 3 drops, so if you can find Death Rattle activators, like this play dead that's found from the tracking here, it is up against Flanking Strike, which is commonly one of the best cards in the matchup as well. I think if you're staring at a hand where 3 of them have the word Death Rattle written on it, you kind of want Makar to make those go off.
Yeah, I'm thinking play dead is the take here. Jinsoo, you know, I think there's a very good merit for Flanking Strike given that Vicious Fledgling is a 2-of in CitizenNappa's list. Yeah. It's an open decklist format. Players know what they're up against. But Flanking Strike's not going to match up well versus Henge Clan Thug. Right. And I think that's a really big point for him in this one, and that's the nod to play dead as a result.
Yeah, I think it's about hand context. There are certain cards that make play dead better, and obviously those are very obvious as the Death Rattle cards, but there are actually cards that make Flanking Strike a better pick there as well, which would be things like Candle Shot, for example, being in hand, which then you can use to challenge Henge Clan Thugs and bigger minions as time goes on.
Second Spider Bomb pickup as well here for Jinsoo, and you know, Spider Bomb I think is the key card that can really bring back games in matchups where you're otherwise losing to, you know, kind of clunky tempo plays from your opponent.
Yeah. Pair of them in hand now. He can choose to try and get out ahead of this if he wants to, but it's kind of ugly coin usage, especially when he has that Witchwood Grizzly in hand currently.
It's a big turn. I'd say with the second Spider Bomb pickup, you are very inclined to coin something in this spot. You don't want to float 2 mana.
Well, it's interesting because now are you committing to playing a 3 on the following turn as well?
I believe so.
So then your turn 4 is your Death Rattle activator turn, and then you go Grizzly on 5 potentially if you don't need to react with Spider Bomb.
It still makes the Spider Bomb kind of dangerous here, and then also with the second one in hand, you get a chance to stick around this one because your opponent has a threat out. Maybe you magnetic and get the play dead. It's going to be an interesting turn here. I feel like this is the standoff that so often happens between Death Rattle Hunter and Odd Rogue.
Firefly, fantastic pickup for Nappa.
Yeah, I'm
just about as good as it gets in terms of just loading out the board with small minions for this this Spider Bomb.
Seeing a Cold Blood with a Vicious Fledgling here as well.
Yep.
This could be really ugly for Jinsoo.
Yep. Good sequencing. I believe he plays Firefly first just because it's a necessary combo activator. He's going to see what's in the box.
Oh, boy.
He gets the Wind Fury.
Oh,
and
boy.
Now we will probably see the remaining minions get played and this Spider Bomb get challenged. It has to be, surely.
I would be shocked if it was not stealth over these other 2 options.
Right. We're not really verbalizing the thought process here. The reason why stealth is so powerful is because it takes every minion with more than 1 attack off the board as an available attack for the Spider Bomb. So he could even potentially leave it there, but he is going to go ahead and kill it. So now...
No way! No way! And look at the look on CitizenNappa's face. That is insane!
That is so absurd. Chooses to challenge the Spider Bomb, which I believe is the correct decision, even though he got the stealth, because it prevents Death Rattle activators from being used on the bomb after they're traded into the 1/2s. His stealth was then protecting him from Flanking Strike as well. He got everything going his way right up until the last, but let's contextualize for a second. He did go Flappy Bird, Cold Blood, into Wind Fury, into stealth. Like, your luck will run out at some point.
Nevertheless!
I know.
Nevertheless,
I know.
That was a situation where CitizenNappa would have won the game if that minion survived.
Correct.
Jinsoo would have had to follow up with a second play dead chance in the following turn.
Yeah, Jinsoo had a shot of just going Spider Bomb play dead and just hitting it himself as well.
And
but
suddenly,
it was ugly.
I'm seeing a Ziliax, I'm seeing 2 Witchwood Grizzlies. I'm seeing Jinsoo get out of this situation, and CitizenNappa going to need desperately to draw Vile Spines, Myra's Unstable Element, etc. if he's going to win this game. That's the thing about Death Rattle Hunter is if it manages to recover, it is in fantastic shape afterwards.
Yep.
Precision. Perfection.
And Ziliax is absolutely worst case scenario for Nappa in this spot. SI7,
nice.
That's about as good a draw as he gets. Now, the fact that Jinsoo does not get the double heal off this Ziliax is very relevant, because with Deadly Poison in hand representing 8 more damage alongside the dagger, Jinsoo is in very, very sketchy territory, but there are a couple of 310s coming out in quick succession at the very least to deal with. Vilespine Slayer is needed, but not found.
Leroy can still do some work here, though.
It connects the bird. You got to take it.
That's the goal, right?
Yep.
It's got to be done.
So Leroy SI and Dagger taking care of the... Oh, Leroy SI and the Firefly, and he can dagger down one of the 1/1s if you want to afterwards. Take less base damage that way.
You would lose a 1/2 in that case, though. You keep a 1/1 around.
That's true.
The bird does not protect itself super efficiently, anyhow.
+3 attack threatens lethal on the following turn.
This is the nod to Hunter's Mark to flanking strike.
Yep.
I believe that is the play to make.
So CitizenNappa, they're choosing to trade the 1/2, in this case just to push 1 extra damage to face instead of preserving the 1/1 on board by trading with a 1/1. And again, Jinsoo just kind of on the back foot here, but he does have another 310 boy to come down. I did wonder about the plus attack pick as opposed to the... Has CitizenNappa had any signals from his opponent that there is no flanking strike?
I think the coin egg is a big property of that.
That's probably true, yeah.
Coin egg can be easily a nod to trying to contest Henge Clan Thug as well, though, looking back early on. But at this point, you know, CitizenNappa, I think, is very much on the please draw Vilespine plan. Like, this game went south pretty quickly. You're very close to winning. You drew the bootleg Vilespine last turn with Leroy Jenkins. It's time to get the real one, and Jinsoo is going for that Defender of Argus that he's teched a copy of in.
My seal for Argus.
And that suddenly is clear skies with a very resilient follow-up on this. This actually makes him more resilient against an opposing Vilespine Slayer, and that's exactly the kind of direction I think that he can go and get out of this because of.
That was a serious risk for Jinsoo. He'll have far better knowledge of what exactly his remaining minions are at that point to me, but I believe if he whiffed on the Argus, he was in serious trouble in terms of making a defensive play. But finding the Argus does play around Vilespine Slayer. I think that's what Jinsoo was about, that he just had a strong read on a Vilespine Slayer in hand, and he just said, you know what, I'm going to play around it. I'm going to put 2 taunts up. I'm going to live against Vilespine Slayer, even if it means a percentage chance that I just whiff on the taunt from the Stitch Tracker.
And we've arrived at the spot now with King Crush in hand, where Jinsoo's getting, you know, pretty close to that counterattack moment where the game will end in his favor if CitizenNappa can't close.
Right. And Nappa is just out of juice.
That was a pretty significant risk, I think, for Jinsoo, all things considered, though. Prince Keliseth.
King Crush was in there at the time. Katharina was in there at the time. Highmane was in there at the time.
Terror Scale Stalker. Houndmaster Shaw. Another copy of Cube. I think it's a calculated risk, all things considered.
He just dies on the whiff, though, right?
The thing about it, though, is on the follow-up, you're so much stronger.
Yeah.
This turn, Jinsoo's still clearly worried about Vilespine Slayer.
Well, what's interesting is I believe that Cold Blood in hand is now the fresh draw on this turn. So if he had an existing read from the previous turn, I think it's worried about been eliminated.
I think it's worried about the top deck. I really do.
He shouldn't have worried all that much.
Well, that's pick patches. I mean, honestly, this was one of the better draws for CitizenNappa at this point too. Like,
I guess
Myra's, Vilespine, Baku. That's the order, I think.
I'm pretty much separating his draws into Vilespine and Myra's, and then garbage. That's basically where I'm at with his draws at this point.
It's not good enough to get it done. We can see Jinsoo's hand, but
yeah.
That Spider Bomb early on was the saving grace. Without that Spider Bomb activation, Jinsoo would not have been in this game.
Yeah. You never want to just call a game in the cold light of day like that and say that Spider Bomb decided everything, but it kind of did. The actual decision point that's worth talking about is Jinsoo's Stitch Tracker play on the previous turn, because that could have influenced outcomes as well. if he'd have just gone with the Witchwood Grizzly and CitizenNappa had drawn the Vile Spineslayer, we see that he didn't have it, we could have a very, very different game.
There are some opposing decisions that are involved in Spider Bomb as well. It wasn't available to be killed on the board immediately with the stealth. CitizenNappa could have simply elected to not kill the Spider Bomb, taking a risk that way, but that would have ended up worse for him in totality.
It would have ended up with worse odds, but we don't know what the roll would have been.
Exactly. You know, the players obviously can't see the other's hand. You're working on a bunch of guesswork. But now Jinsoo firmly in the driver's seat.
You just king crush that 7-8, right, and just push the rest face.
This with a cube turn is fine.
Sure.
It's, you know, they both are going to add up to the same thing at the end of the day. Lethal damage next turn.
Got a cube instead. Yeah, it's probably stronger overall.
Your opponent has to eliminate every single minion in order to not die. And Tar Creeper doesn't do that. Jinsoo going to take game one in an unfavored situation. Thanks to a favorable outcome from a little deadly shot on a stick. 1-0. And that, to me, was one of the biggest question marks I had in Jinsoo's lineup. His Cube Paladin has been banned away, and he's got Dragon Priest and Cube.
Of these matchups, so he can be able to get through, and then it just becomes a game of Cube Lock. And a game of Cube Lock can end with a draw of Skull of the Minari. You know, that card is the wild growth of Warlock. It does not care about matchups. If you draw that card, it'll just throw your matchup percentage out the window.
I was picturing closer to Nourish. Gives you quite a bit of extra mana.
I think Nourish doesn't help you win bad matchups as much as Wild Growth.
Bootleg Nourish. There we go.
Bootleg Nourish.
There we go. Saddle, of course, head of the bootleg.
Look, stop. Someone's actually going to come knock on my door and take me away if you keep saying that.
Well, I was going to say the bootleg card designation committee.
That'll do.
Yeah,
fine. I don't run Moonshine.
Yeah. Definitely doesn't run that.
We are going to see the matchup that I was just talking about. This is the deck remaining for Jinsoo that probably has the most anti-aggro game packed in there, with some decent removal tools and a decent minion package of its own to be able to contest 1-for-1. You got Dustbreakers, Primordial Drakes, and Psychic Stream as well on top of all of that.
Wild Pyromancer says hello again. Copy of Tar Creeper, 1 copy of Fire Tree Witch Doctor, 1 Divine Hymn. The double Scale Worm, though, which has become very popular over the last couple of weeks in Dragon Priest. And I feel like it's just been doing such a good job, as a lot of the minions are sitting in just enough vulnerable range to that card that it often kills a minion and sticks around for a turn. CitizenNappa at 5-1 lost the first round that he had played in playoffs here, so the tiebreakers have a chance to not be the kindest to him should he not win this match. But looking at some of his past performance, this guy has been such a strong competitor. He was at the championships for spring in 2017. 2018, he was top 16 at the summer playoffs. This is his 3rd consecutive playoff appearance, and then he also has a tour stop top 8 this year as well.
Meanwhile, Jinsoo was deep in the tank on that Shadow Visions pick. It did look like a scream to me, but it's one of those, you know, sometimes downsides of using Shadow Visions early is that you have to divine the future to an unrealistic degree of whether you're going to need that Psychic Scream on 7 or not. But a lot of the time, with a minion light hand from Jinsoo and Hunter's minions generally being able to get out of range of like a clean Pyromancer clear, yeah, he's probably going to be in Psychic Scream territory by the time he gets to turn 7.
I think so. And then the Holy Fire picked up to, you know, help back up the defense a little bit. Jinsoo, you know, he is a fairly newcomer to the scene. In 2018 was really when he got his first tournament performances that were going on. And, you know, in 2018, the 19 season that we're carrying over into, he's actually 19th in points in the region.
Wow.
And that stemmed largely at the start where he had a 2nd place finish at the Hearthstone Wild Open last year, and then, you know, started making his run through playoffs and was able to get top 8 at the Summer Championship.
I like this choice from Jinsoo. I was just talking about how Wild Pyromancer isn't really the go-to in the matchup. The minions all kind of have 3-4 plus health. Scavenging Hyena can get well out of range of a Pyromancer clear as well. So it's not really something you're going to be nuking your opponent's board with. So just Pyro Shield there on 3, cleared up the Springport and just evenly contests the onboard Misha. I like that decision a lot.
Just keep fighting for board. And here's CitizenNappa very interested in turning that Spring Paw into an extra 2-1 of stats on to the Scavenging Hyena, and another Wild Pyromancer kind of running the turn back here for Jinsoo, it looks like.
Pretty much. He'll be far more vulnerable now based on this turn that's coming in, because now he runs into Flanking Strike if he goes Pyro, Power Word Shield. He runs into any rushing or charging minions that can really just shatter his dreams. But I'm with you, I don't see a better option. It's just this is a much more reluctant Pyro Shield for Jinsoo than the previous one was.
Yeah, it's draw into the deck and hope. And this is why Flanking Strike is so good. Like, oh, you're going to fight for board just by playing a minion, huh? Allow me to eliminate your minion, play an additional minion, and attack you.
Sounds like a powerful thing to do. We should do that.
Well, let me queue up a game of Hunter real quick and we can do that.
The key to remember here for CitizenNappa and for people watching is that you don't have to play around Mass Hysteria against the Dragon Priest. It's not a Mass Hysteria deck, so Flanking Strike here would look like a perfect Mass Hysteria setup for the opponent, but in this case, there's no such removal option.
Interesting. So CitizenNappa, much more concerned with just getting a damage push rolling. I am quite surprised by this. This does make a lot of sense with the dual Scavenging Hyena down, though, as 10 comes crashing in, where Jinsoo doesn't have an opportunity really to eliminate both minions. It's going to cost him something either way you slice it. But Scale Worm is a great answer to the first, uprooted Scavenging Hyena that's sitting on board. 10-5. 2-mana cards aren't really supposed to get that big.
So just on Snap Judgment, this is looking like Scale Worm the 10-5 and then Suicide your Pyro into the other Hyena and try and set up for just Holy Firing it down on the following turn.
The alternative, though, would be the heal Wild Pyromancer Mind Blast trade-off. Take the damage, Holy Fire. Ugh.
Yikes. I don't like that at all.
I don't like this at all either, but it's the best that he's got, so...
I like this significantly more than that madness that you said.
Well, sometimes bootleg Flanking Strike gets the job done.
I really want that Pyromancer to go into the 8-5.
Yes.
I don't like this. This is... he has seen both Spring Paws, but this is weak now to Animal Companion. Charging Huffer, for example, would get out of range of Holy Fire if he wants to trade.
It just happens to have only Animal Companion as their use. That can get you in a lot of trouble.
Right. And just like, it's a minor thing to play around, but what does the 3 damage get for you? I don't see the value in that face attack personally.
It's really tough for me to argue against the value of damage at any stage of the game, but here it's of paramount importance because in this situation you would also be removing Flanking Strike from CitizenNappa's top deck. Obviously somewhere in Jinsoo's head there's a real possibility he thinks that card's not there, but gets out scot-free. CitizenNappa, I think, would have been foolish to take the risk on Animal Companion in that situation. Only the lone copy of Holy Fire in Jinsoo's deck, so that's now gone. And Master's Call. Woo! This is about the time you want it, too, because you're approaching the Psychic Scream and Primordial Drake turns.
Certainly are. It's going to find you Tundra Rhinos, Razormaws, Subject 9. Yep, there's the boy. Oh, nailed it.
This board does not look like a good Scream board. Just casually taking a sip of water. He's like, yeah, getting beat up. Opponent just drew 3 extra cards. Don't really have any super strong responses. Looks okay.
Yeah, I agree with you. It didn't look like a good Scream board, but any play that does not involve Psychic Scream is under serious danger of just getting blown out, because I think that Master's Call is extremely likely to have got this exact package that it did.
Yep, that's lethal.
And the Crackling Razormaw plus Tundra Rhino combination is potentially very devastating. Doesn't even need it because of the kill command and hero power. And that is going to be a very, very quickly leveled up series for CitizenNappa.
And that's the situation that Jinsoo, often I think is supposed to be finding a win in with that deck. I'd say that's one of the stronger matchups that's there. However, one of the big keys to being able to win that match is rare that your opponent has better things to do than just play their most expensive card that is already very good. But sometimes. Game number 3 now. Jinsoo going to be on coin with a Wild Pyromancer and a Power Word Shield. But against Odd Rogue, that oftentimes it's not enough to get the job done. The minions can very quickly outscale the health marker where that, you know, 2 or 3 damage you can, the 1 or 2 damage you can launch in a single turn isn't enough. Gonna throw it back.
I'm curious about the presence of Wild Pyromancer in the metagame right now. Like, what deck do you really think that's aiming at? Because there's not a great deal of Alt Paladin hanging around anymore, which is when you really wanted to have a Pyromancer.
Yeah, perhaps that's something you expected, though. It's more Odd Paladin.
Sure.
I think if you expected your opponents to have a lot of Odd Rogue, Odd Paladin is a very reasonable choice in that regard.
That is a fair analysis.
That's something I've noticed a lot with Asia Pacific in, you know, my years now of casting it, is that a lot of the next level reads seem to come into place. It's if my opponent is going to do X, that means that variable Y is going to be strong against it. I'm going to play variable Z to punish that. And it just seems like it's very prominent throughout the years that's been the case.
And then it all comes around in variable G for generic aggro decks.
Both of the 3s that are Nightmare for Jinsoo available here, and Hench Clan is the much more nightmarish one.
Yeah, Jinsoo does have the Scale Worm, though, which is a pretty useful removal tool for desperate situations like this. I would not expect to see the Panic Coin, because he can still challenge after 1 more attack anyway.
I'm interested. I actually somewhat like the coin.
The Dustbreaker maybe changes that. I started that sentence before the Dustbreaker was drawn. Yeah.
It's surprising that with as much as I talk and as much stupid stuff as I say, that sometimes I wait at the right moment. So I'm glad you picked that one up for me. Was that a good enough rub-in?
Yeah.
From the pre-show that you got me with?
Yeah, I'll take it.
Okay.
I'll take it. I'll take my licks.
Vicious Fledgling's about to take its licks too. Duskbreaker from Jinsoo is massive here.
Yeah. And just to clear up that point, the Dustbreaker draw really did change how appealing that coin 4 was, because it would have been coin, contest the Hench Clan Thug, and then your opponent plays another threat, and you have no response to the other threat afterwards. But because he drew the Dustbreaker, Jinsoo just has to pray that it's not exactly second Hench Clan Thug that comes down. Everything else he has a lot of game of dealing with. So that really changed, that one draw changed the decision process. Jinsoo latched onto it. He's now being rewarded with a huge Dustbreaker taking care of the Flappy Bird.
Critical turn here for CitizenNappa too. The Myra's the double Vile Spine. He has to plan out where that Myra's going to sit, and it looks like turn 7. Where here, it's clear off the 3-3. Scale Worm's going to, you know, challenge this. It's going to get Vile Spine, and then CitizenNappa's just about out of gas after that. And with the way that Jinsoo's hand is the double Psychic Scream, the Crowd Roaster, the Alex Straza, I feel like he may be getting out of this game.
I wonder, like, I'm desperately searching for something to do that isn't Scale Worm right now, because I think sight unseen in Jinsoo's position, I don't really want to give my opponent that Vilespine Slayer, right? Like, I feel that's an exchange they win. If I Scale Worm their 1-1 and they Vilespine me, and Jinsoo, seems to be on the same thought train as well, and says, no, I don't like it. You're not having this Vilespine Slayer.
Super secret tech for those out of you who are aspiring to be casters. Say the obvious play, let the player figure it out, then let your co-caster sound like a genius when they're able to explain it. Now Vilespine hits anyway. CitizenNappa still has basically the same turn, but Jinsoo comes out looking brilliant. So does Sottle. I feel justified in my dumb statement.
Sure. I mean, for once in my casting career, I have no response to that. That was nonsense.
Bootleg Ice Block.
Bootleg caster.
Amen, brother. This is a great turn now for CitizenNappa, though. That turn 7 Myra's. He planned it out pretty darn quick, too. Look at the hand, went, turn 7, sounds about right. Psychic Scream looks a lot worse when your opponent just drew the rest of their deck.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not really too bothered if I can guarantee that my opponent just draws a 1-drop for the rest of the game until they start fatiguing at this point. I'm kind of okay with that scenario.
Wild Pyro could do some very strange things on this turn. I'm thinking of the spells that Jinsoo can pick up.
Yeah, the draws are Mind Blast, Divine Hymn,
Shadow Visions.
If he fails here, he actually has recovery as well. That's the big difference. That's the big difference between that and the Stitch Tracker.
Another Holy Fire!
The difference between this and the Stitch Tracker play in the previous game is that Jinsoo could recover if it whiffs. So I'm totally on board with Jinsoo taking what looks like the riskier play in that position. And now he's left his opponent fatiguing with no board while he sits on the princely total of 25 health, just watching this game crumbling away from CitizenNappa.
And this is because of a deviation away from just the most obvious thing that could have been done. Scaleworm, you just would have had a fresh 5-3 on board. It would have gotten Vile Spine, things could start to slip away.
Yep.
Instead, the Vile Spine hits anyway. You capitalize on the Vile Spine and have all these tools left for afterwards. Heals face instead of the Pyro. Gets an extra 2 health because of that. The Dagger Charge expended. And when Jinsoo's looking at this, Crowd Roaster in hand, the Scaleworm, the Twilight Acolyte, the Holy Fire, double Scream left. CitizenNappa's got a heap of work to do to chew through this life total.
Decides to let rip on one of those screams. Crowd Roaster did look reasonable to me, just taking care of the Henge Clan Thug. But again, I think he's really just trying to prevent big tempo swings coming back the other way. He doesn't really want to spend too much mana over-developing. He's happy just playing on the back foot right now and looking probably just for a gap in the armor for CitizenNappa that he can start going on the offensive with his own powerful plays.
No real shortage of gas for CitizenNappa, though.
Nope.
So many options.
Boy, is this 1-3 awkward. Kind of eyeing this Fungomancer here for a minute, but I was looking at it more with the South Sea deckhand.
You wanted to solve the Cleric problem?
I somewhat do, but, you know, perhaps CitizenNappa's just happy seeing card draw on the other side at this point. I'm looking at the situation, and I don't really see myself being super uncomfortable if my opponent's going to decide to draw cards here. These are vital turns of tempo that CitizenNappa needs to seize.
Bear in mind, Jinsoo will not be as comfortable as it might feel like he should here when you can see both hands, because he does not know. For all he knows, CitizenNappa got Leroy and a Cold Blood and a bunch of other damage off of that Myra's. So Jinsoo is actually in a potentially terrified position right now of how much damage he's even taking from this fairly small-looking board. And I do like the Scaleworm play, but the scary part is for Jinsoo is even leaving up 5 damage here, even though we can see it's kind of reasonable to just leave 5 damage on play. Jinsoo has to be very, very brave to do this, and I do respect the Twilight Acolyte just coming down just to cut the 1 extra off.
3-4 in play as well.
Yep. He's going to keep drawing that Henge Clan Thug. There's another Scream set to go. We might see this guy bouncing back time and time again.
It's tough to scream your own minions, though.
That's true.
You know, Jinsoo's clearly been trying to fight as hard as he can to try to snag a favorable spot here. Trying to see where CitizenNappa gets a stable enough position that he's actually able to push, and my head's kind of lost.
It's hard to find. He needs to make a screamable board, and then he needs to draw these big threats back again, and then get them into play very quickly, and not draw the 1-drops and so on that have also been shuffled into his deck. And then maybe Jinsoo finds himself out of options, because he's under a lot of pressure here. He has to do something to respond to this board state.
Choose soon.
Killing the 3-4 here can play around some options like Primordial Drake.
There we go. That's okay. I was wondering why the South Sea was coming down. It's like, is he really interested in protecting the life total? But no, he's this interested in getting Fungomancer screamed back into the deck.
Right. And with 4 health minions in play as well, leaving a 2-4 on the board just makes the potential Primordial Drake super powerful from Jinsoo. So I do respect that option.
However, I mean, Jinsoo does have, you know, sort of the run it back turn. It's the Scream, Northshire Cleric, and heal.
Yeah.
You know, the big thing for CitizenNappa is that the hand is starting to run out. Sure, you have a lot of good cards in deck, but you're drawing them one at a time.
That's true. But it's also very difficult. I mean, we talk about how CitizenNappa is going to find a stable enough position to push. Jinsoo also kind of has to find a stable enough position to push because he's preventing fatigue from happening with all these Psychic Screams. And now, with 5 of those cards going in there on top of the 2 cards remaining, he's very likely to just be drawing Henge Clan Thugs and Vile Spine Slayers over the next couple of turns, which will allow CitizenNappa to keep in control of the game state.
I think this is the turn, though. I think this is the turn where that changes with the Crowd Roaster. With the Twilight Acolyte, you could swap around the Baku's attack total as well. I mean, this is such a major turn here for Jinsoo.
Right.
So now the question, the Crowd Roaster, which, you know, pretty easy, I think, if you look at the way the hands are shaping up. And suddenly, pretty big lead to Jinsoo here, and now CitizenNappa draws another one-cost minion.
Oh, the Vilespine was just so necessary from hand, and that's going to be the scoop. Lethal was threatened with the Holy Fire from hand with any Mind Blasts that were coming out. CitizenNappa, despite all that, just said, you know what, I count one loss, but you can see 3 other now very, very important matchups going on of players with records that are on the bubble. Tyler and Blitzchung down there on 4 and 2. Glory as well, a player that I'm a huge fan of on a 5 and 1. Hope to see him do very well. And then on our bottom left, we have Coco, Sasa, and KT, who is a newcomer to me at least, but has had some good features on stream so far and is potentially building a little fan base for himself.
I honestly will say that from the in terms of level of play from Asia Pacific, I think this is the strongest playoffs that we have seen from them. You know, oftentimes I feel like we've questioned some of the things that we've seen, whether it be a deck choice or a particular line of play, but overall this weekend I feel like the play has just been impeccably solid across the board in the matches that we've been seeing.
I think that's potentially true. I think it's hard to say that as a general statement. I definitely agree with the spirit of what you're saying, but we've been more so the case for Asia Pacific than either of the other regions that preceded it.
We'll agree to disagree then. I called it out.
You think there has been a 0 misplays on stream during?
No, it's not 0 misplays. What I'm saying is, I don't know what I'm saying anymore. What I'm saying is Jinsoo's on match point, Cube Warlock, tough matchup, but Doomsayer in hand. And that is a fairly ugly looking draw for CitizenNappa on the open. But honestly, the 5-cost minions are some of the more crucial ones.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
In the deck, but I'm noticing a particular card in Jinsoo's hand that you were talking a lot about as we speculated over this matchup.
I'm seeing a pair of them on the left. Like, that's the Mulligan dream over there. There is a Doomsayer backed up by Skull of the Minari, and then a Doomguard behind all that as well that's going to come out for free. This is a huge draw for Jinsoo on the Q-Block, and Q-Block is just not a deck that we've really seen through any of the 3 weeks in any great profile on stream games at least. So how do you feel? I mean, obviously, I know your thoughts on Even Lock. Like, would you be happier to see more players bringing Q-Block instead of Even Lock to these tournaments?
Honestly, Q-Block is one of these weird decks where I feel like it's a feast or famine thing. I'm actually going to pause that thought real quick because CitizenNappa with Deadly Poison has a decision in front of him that I think is quite easy to make. Southsea deckhand, Deadly Poison, kill this Doomsayer. That is a problem to lose this much tempo. You need to get something on board. You need to start swinging. Props to CitizenNappa for recognizing this. It's a lot of damage taken to a Doomsayer, but you need the tempo more. Back to the point. I think Q-Block is one of those decks where it's a comfort pick for a lot of players.
Okay.
They understand the situations very well. The risks often leave you looking somewhat dumb, where you're like, I have to just do this weird looking thing because here's the draw I need to get out of this, and if I draw it, I'm going to win the game.
Right.
So if you're very comfortable with the deck, I can see bringing it. And I'm talking about the build in particular. I'm seeing 1 copy of Corpse Taker in the deck. And to me, that is a very important inclusion overall, as this deck really lacks a lot of early defense. And so now the true test is in front of Jinsoo. Is a turn 4 Skull and Minari enough to get out of this?
It's gonna do a lot. He has Coin Skull into a free minion into Ziliax on the following turn, which is gonna do huge amounts of damage to CitizenNappa's board development, whether it be the Doomguard that can immediately trade with the Hench Clan Thug, or whether it be that Voidlord putting up a huge roadblock. But that Fungalmancer can now prevent the Doomguard challenge, and CitizenNappa recognizes that this is the correct spot. He wants that 6 health on the Hench Clan Thug, and now it might have to be Doomglove plus Ziliax into the same minion even to take it out.
This game is gonna get crazy. With Jinsoo on just 9 life,
he has to live this turn, and this turn alone, because from this point onwards, he has Voidlords on the board for the rest of the game.
That's definitely about as close to a true statement as I can imagine. I was looking at the Vilespine in hand for CitizenNappa, and I'm looking at the Cobalt Scalebane. That just takes such a long time to get moving. CitizenNappa's face reacts to the Ziliax, as that is probably the worst sight he could have seen. Maybe Defile's a bit worse, maybe.
And even with the Vilespine coming down here, he only gets to push 7 behind all of that.
I don't think you can Vilespine.
No, I mean,
I don't think you can.
Okay, finish. Before I counter, finish that thought.
I think that 1 Voidlord is beatable. here for CitizenNappa.
Okay, that's where we're diverging in our thoughts then.
I feel like the Cobalt Scalebane this turn gives you a way to fight through a single Void Lord because you have Vile Spine, the Void Lord, and then run over all of the Void Walkers that are there. It's clear skies from that point.
Okay.
If the second Void Lord is there, almost nothing you do wins this turn.
I think if Void Lord is in hand, if one Void Lord is in hand, you do not win this game. So I agree with this Vile Spine play. That's why I was immediately going to disagree with when you brought up the point initially, but I can see a world where you can beat one Void Lord. I just personally like shutting your eyes, hoping it's not there, and then making that face from CitizenNappa when you see that you're wrong.
Yeah. I don't disagree with that line either. I think it's another strong option that you have. That is Skull of the Minari in a nutshell. It's why there's decks that pack weapon destruction where you go, why is this in here right now? It is a nod to tournament play and exactly Skull of the Minari oftentimes. This second Void Lord. You thought the first one drew a reaction. And look at the... I mean, CitizenNappa's seen it on his side already, that the spectator client takes a minute to catch up.
Yeah.
His reaction has already happened.
Oh, Corpse Taker on top of all of that as well.
No lifesteal left in the deck in terms of minions, though.
Okay.
No Divine Shield either.
Taunt?
Actually, might not be a taunt minion.
Right. It's kind of a weird scenario that I've never really run into
That is
before.
a 3/3.
Nice.
4 mana 3/3.
And when I said Void Lords for the rest of the game, that was not hyperbole. That was literally what was going to happen.
Well, there's not a Void Lord right now.
Yeah, okay, all right, fair enough. Wait, aren't I supposed to be semantic and you're pedantic,
Well,
or isn't it the other way?
It was just, that's the pairing.
Okay.
It's a you know, a give and take sort of relationship.
Okay.
Were you the semantic one?
I honestly forgot.
I definitely feel like
For the sake of the bit, I just pretended I remembered it was that way around.
I feel like me and pedantic is not the correct one because I'm just not that smart.
Sure.
That's why I debate semantics. Shout out to all the semantics debaters.
I was going to say,
I feel ya.
There's just like a million angry keyboard warriors on Twitter right now. It's like, this is all I do and it makes me so smart.
Yeah, same. Take your pick for Jinsoo at this point.
Well, there's a bit of danger. He needs to get that cube open sooner rather than later. Yep, that'll do it.
Well, you know.
As if by magic.
Yeah.
Yeah, why not?
Activates as you summon them. Very key point to Spirit Singer Umbra in that regard. It is...
That's a 3/9. That's some 1/3s. That's another 3/9. And as crucial as this is for CitizenNappa, I think we might be seeing the concession sooner rather than later. It's a vital game because of that early loss. 5-2 might not be enough for him. He might just end up missing out on tiebreakers. But you have to have will of steel to keep fighting through this scenario. And I just don't think it's going to happen. I think we're going to see a concession, and we do from CitizenNappa. The Void Lords endlessly come out, and the rarest of beasts, the Joy Smile from Jinsoo.